There's something about Superman quickly switching into his suit that makes us all feel warm and fuzzy inside. As it so happens, the TV region is a huge fan of such outfit changes, so here are the top 25 Superman suit-up scenes across films and TV. Who would have thought that we'd kick off the list with the most recent version of Superman? Yeah, I know David Corn Sweat is supposed to be the next big thing, but the movie's not out yet, so I'm sticking with Tyler Hoechlin for now. It's the pilot episode of Superman and Lois where Clark instantly switches to Superman and saves a kid from a car. It's a quick moment, but creates a strong impact for all those who chose to give this show a try. The pure innocence in his voice when he tells the kid, "Thanks, my mom made it for me," was a great touch, and also a strong nod to the show's predecessor Lois and Clark, which you'll also see later in the video.
Did you see that?
See what?
Some guy just saved a kid from getting killed by a car, and then he flew up into the sky.
Oh, he flew?
Flew, you know, like a bird or a plane or whatever.
Am I cool to turn around? Are you dressed?
Hey, the TV region is all about equality, so expect to see some Supergirl entries today as well. For now, we're going to see the rendition played by Sasha Calle in 2023's The Flash. It's a damn shame that we won't get to see more of her in this universe because she pretty much did everything right as Supergirl. She also got a nice glow up when she changed into a suit and took in some of that vitamin D from the sun to boost her powers. I really like the design of the suit too. It felt like a breath of fresh air in a franchise that didn't know how to innovate with its characters or timeline, as could be seen in this film. Anyway, having said that, this is a nice moment even though there's nothing too flashy going on. Get it? Because the movie's called The Flash? No? Alright, forget it.
But I'm not a human. I'm a Kryptonian.
You can be the most badass superhero ever and still be a mama's boy, because that's exactly what moms deserve. In this case, it's Martha Kent, and I apologize in advance to Batman that it isn't Martha Wayne.
Why did you say that name?
Anyway, the pilot episode from Lois and Clark showed Kal-El working with his mom to make the perfect suit. After some trial and error, they get exactly what was needed, and seeing the proud look on Martha's face only proves why she's the best mother Clark could have gotten after what happened on Krypton. I also like that little scene at the end where they were discussing his glasses being used as a disguise. Yeah, even Superman's parents weren't buying it.
That's my boy.
What if somebody recognizes you?
I don't think they will, Mom, because it won't be me.
Yeah.
An alley is actually one of the easiest places to change your clothes. Forget Superman, even I could change my outfit in an alley if the situation requires it. After the tremendous success of the first film, it was but obvious that a sequel was going to be made, and amongst a lot of other things, it gave us this smooth alley cut. The transition from Clark to Superman looks so good, even after revealing the S. Clark still goes through with the transformation and gives us all another memorable moment. Look, Superman 2 wasn't bad at all, but when compared to the first film, it couldn't really match up in terms of success or anything else. Still, it was good enough to warrant more sequels.
Clark, things aren't that bad! Clark, stop!
Just because you happen to be the most powerful superhero on the planet doesn't mean you can't have some fun with your significant other. Clark Kent knows that way too well as he toys around with Lois Lane in a scene that doesn't seem very necessary. Anyway, my primary interest is the suit up, as Clark literally leaves Lois in the air for a while so that he could come back as Superman and flex a bit. Yeah, bro only wanted to riz Lois over here, because that whole gag of trying to get some fresh air isn't something Superman really needs, is it? Yeah.
How'd you like going solo?
I loved it. Not as much as being with you.
I needed to be with you too. You make me laugh.
Whether it's Superman or Supergirl, only one person can really steal the show, and in this case, it happens to be Tyler Hoechlin. I know I covered an entry with him at the start of the video, but considering the year in which this episode came out, it's the first time we see him playing the role of Superman, as he suits up to save an airplane from crashing. Yeah, Supergirl also shows up and both of them work together to save the passengers, but come on, Superman clearly had more aura here. Bro was casually greeting his cousin in the middle of her trying to stop a freaking plane crash. He then uses his ice breath as well to remind us that the numero uno will always be our Superman. Can you imagine? This same dude used to play a werewolf in Teen Wolf during his earlier days. Yeah, this was definitely an upgrade.
That was awesome. I mean, that was terrible, but it was awesome. I've dreamt of this moment.
Me too.
Subways aren't exactly the safest places on the planet, especially if you happen to be in New York City. Superman 4 was, well, it was a movie that released in 1987, but there's not much else I can say in its favour other than its suit-up scenes. This one had our boy changing in the subway booth after realising the train was out of control, and his entrance was pretty solid. Yeah, Christopher Reeve was the only one who made this movie somewhat enjoyable with scenes like this, and it only makes me sadder as I realise that he's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Superman. You were truly the MVP.
Say thank you.
You can imagine that a guy as busy as Superman would never have the time to take photos for himself, but in this case, taking photos was the only option he had to save the dude who was somehow drowning in his own car. Anyway, the quick switch from Clark to Superman was enhanced by the fact that he quickly did it in a photo booth because it captured everything he did. Now, here's a piece of trivia for you. The kid at the photo booth is Aaron Smolinski. He was Baby Kal-El in the first Superman movie and also played the soldier in Man of Steel, who contacted General Swanwick and told him that they were bringing Superman with them. If I told you that the black suit for Superman was actually explored on live television much before the Snyder Cut, would you believe me? Well, it's not a matter of choice because what I just told you isn't only the truth, but a fact. Yeah, Ben Shapiro would have loved that line. This scene is from Lois and Clark, and it goes all the way back to 1996 when Superman tries on a black and blue suit for the first time. I already covered the first time he puts on the suit from this series, so I figured why not give him another highlight. Sure, he doesn't go on to violate Steppenwolf, but this is still a very solid scene that deserves to be talked about. You know, Dean Cain had this inexplicable charm about him, which made him a very appealing Superman. Also, Terry Hatcher in the 90s was a completely different level of gorgeous. Yeah, that's right, I'm a simp man. Crack whatever jokes you want.
I am Trey, Chief of the Elders. We are humbled and grateful to greet you.
Hello?
I'm pretty sure the hardcore Superman fans would know the line, "Up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman." Well, that line gets brought to life rather impressively in the season finale of Smallville when Clark Kent finally becomes Superman after 10 long seasons of character development. This is a TV show, so I went in without expecting much, but I'd say that the special effects weren't bad at all, especially for 2011 television. Also, that transition from Clark to Superman against the icy surroundings was top stuff from the creative team. And yeah, seeing Jonathan hand the suit down to our boy is easily one of the top moments of the franchise. Plus, bro gets to work immediately as he saves Lois Lane from a plane crash. And it's not any random plane either, it's Air Force One for crying out loud. If if you ever want to get rid of your demons, the best way to do it would be to choke them into submission. I mean, it worked out for Superman, so I'm sure it has a high rate of effectiveness. So I still haven't understood how Kal-El managed to split into good Superman and bad Superman, but I won't ask too many questions about it because we get an awesome battle between the both of them that does eventually end with the good version winning. After finally getting it together and being reborn with a new mindset, our boy shows off his S with extra swag, letting the world know that Superman is back and he ain't messing around this time. On a side note, I think he'd actually get along quite well with Captain America, considering, you know, how they like to choke their clones. Then again, Steve Rogers will pretty much choke anything.
Made from structured polymer composite. It's much sturdier than... And, this one has the S.
Supergirl is another DC show that's worked its wonders on fans, and her suit-ups are pretty cool as well. It actually starts off with her designing her costume, which was a pretty cool sequence. This also introduces the audience properly to Win, who's basically a savage without superpowers. He helps Kara with her costume design, and the whole sequence works out for the best, with the coveted S also making its way into Supergirl's brand identity. We get to see Kara stopping a couple of crimes too, so it's more than we could ask for in a pilot episode. Also, I know that it wouldn't have been right to go with that first option, but I think I'm not wrong by saying if Supergirl went with that outfit, then she'd definitely not have a lot of male villains to take care of. Or maybe she'd only have male villains committing crimes so they could get caught by her.
It's not an S. It's my family's coat of arms. The House of L.
Now, this one's an exception that I'm making for this list, as it isn't exactly a particular clip from a specific scene. Rather, it's an intro from an animated show that gave happy memories to countless kids all over the world. All of us would tune in to watch it, and unlike today where you can skip the intros on Netflix, the viewers would have to sit through the whole intro to get to the actual episode, because it was actually a highlight, specifically the final part where Superman shows us the S. It's literally like a symbol of heroism, and it would get us all hyped AF. Speaking of which, are any of my millennial viewers also fans of this intro? Let me know in the comments so that we can actually see how popular this constant suit-up was.
You might be the key to saving the multiverse.
It's actually one of the least insane things I've ever heard. First, stay and face Luthor. Then you won't do it alone.
You know what's better than one Superman suit up? You guessed it, two Supermen suiting up in front of us. What's even better is that this particular sequence has Brandon Routh reprising his role from 2006 Superman Returns. It also has Tyler Hoechlin's version of the character, thus giving us a double whammy. This is from that Crisis on Infinite Earths arc that happens in between seasons of separate shows. Yeah, the chronology is a little bit difficult to explain, and I believe this particular scene is from that horrific Batwoman show. Anyway, my point is that we get two Superman variants quickly suiting up for dramatic effect, and it happens so quickly that you'll quite literally miss it if you blink. Now, this is actually followed up by a very cheesy sequence where Lex Luthor seemingly takes control of Routh's Superman, but I won't get into those details. We get a crazy fight for TV standards after this, but honestly, just seeing Brandon Routh as Superman again was good enough for me to choose this scene. Remember, this is the same Kal-El who was able to lift an entire planet of freaking kryptonite, so I don't know whatever the heck was in that book which made him turn to the dark side.
They know more than you think.
They would want your memories of them to lift you up, not drive you to darkness. That's the truth, Clark. And the truth means everything to you.
You okay? Actually, this is the second time I've gone nuts and fought myself.
Normally, we look for changing rooms inside a mall or an airport. Superman is obviously levels above us, so he doesn't need to do such things. Bro just uses cop cars instead. Superman 3 gets a lot of hate and ridicule, all of which is somewhat warranted. I mean, I'm part of that crew already, so I'm not going to argue the opposite. However, there have been some solid suit-ups across the lesser Superman movies. Clark Kent enters a cop car from one side, and Superman gets out of it from the other side. This was so smooth and seamless that people wondered if there was a double inside the car the whole time. However, it's not a double, the front of the car is actually a frozen frame, allowing for Christopher Reeve to change outfits and start again from that point. My point is that people went crazy when they saw this in 1983, but yeah, there's not much else to celebrate about this film, other than of course the other entries I've covered from it. I did cover an entry from Smallville earlier, and this happens to be from the very same episode. However, I feel this one's got a better kick to it, which is why it landed in my top 10. There's not a lot of the Superman suit in the show, primarily because it focuses on Clark Kent growing up and becoming a responsible member of human civilization. I mean, I can respect that, but I'm also an impatient fan who wants to see Superman suit up and fight crime. So when our boy's little romantic session with Lois gets interrupted...
There's a bomb in an elevator uptown.
Still the minister? I'm maybe a few minutes late.
we know he's going to pull out the suit. And there we have it, Clark Kent running towards the camera, flashing his S to us like it's the most important thing in the world. Well, technically that statement is true, because there's no way the world would have been able to survive without a hero like Superman protecting it. You know something else I really appreciated? The brilliant decision to license the John Williams score for the series finale. Well, how about that? Supergirl does manage to land one in the top 10 too, and what an entry it is. Nanotech is something that's been mostly associated with Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, but that doesn't mean the DC Universe can't employ it too. It really was some amazing nanotech too. Not only did it create a suit for Kara Zor-El, it also let her hair down, styled it, and somehow managed to magically add pants to her dress. Look, it's a TV show, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. As a matter of fact, it's because this is from a TV show that it lands so high up on the list. The CGI was actually quite impressive, and I'm sure this episode didn't have the kind of budget that Avengers Infinity War did. It's a simple suit up, but it's really effective, which is why I like it so much. Also, I just realized that actress Katie McGrath, who plays Lena Luthor in this show, also played that poor woman who got gobbled up by the mosasaur in Jurassic World. Yeah, if only Supergirl could come to her rescue back then, maybe...
Well, I just knew you couldn't resist the chance to sort of pitch in. Know what I mean?
Look, when Superman jumps out of a window, you don't have to worry about him getting hurt, because he must have done this kind of stuff in his sleep. However, what makes this particular suit up so special is that he does it while flying, almost as if we're witnessing magic in front of us. Yes, I'm aware that flight, super strength, and heat vision are also nothing less than magic, but we already associate these powers with the character, which means that this may not have been a thoroughly edited sequence. The man was able to sneak through everyone at work, step out of the window, and make a leap of faith without getting anyone's attention. That's like having a stealth skill or something. You know, this specific scene kind of reminded me of how Tony Stark suited up after being thrown off his tower by Loki. Wow, that's the second Iron Man reference in a row, isn't it? Anyway, that movie came out in 2012, so this is obviously the one that did it first.
Okay, kids. Hey, it's Superman.
You know, it's actually quite surprising that we haven't seen too many elevator suit-ups across his time on cinema screens or even television for that matter. Even the one here where Brandon Routh suits up doesn't have him changing in the elevator itself, but rather him suiting up as he flies up the elevator shaft. It's a pretty badass scene as Clark Kent takes off his disguise in a literal second before turning into Superman and going about his business. It's also one of the neatest displays of him breaking the sound barrier. Yeah, I know it happens in 2013 too, but this film came out before that, so it automatically earns bragging rights. There's also a lot of grace and class on display without him even needing to try. I suppose that's what happens when you're just so naturally awesome. On a side note, don't you think somebody would have found Clark Kent's discarded clothes somewhere if he just dropped them so randomly? I'm sure that would have started at least one kind of rumor, if you know what I mean.
I think I'll just go see if Ricky's all right.
Having a woman by your side is considered a blessing by most simps all over the world. But if you happen to be Superman, then it's quite stressful as a task to keep your secret identity while also being a certified lover boy, and not the Drake kind. This sequence happens whilst Clark and his lady friend are seemingly in the middle of a romantic trip. Since we're looking out for suit-ups, then check out Kal-El's trippy transition into Superman while he runs alongside these crops. The idea was obviously to save the little kid Ricky, who would have probably given us the 80s equivalent of that infamous jump scare from Insidious had it not been for Superman showing up at the right time. It was such a wholesome moment when Ricky says Superman and Clark goes, "That's me." The man also ends up saving the dog, which always earns bonus points from the TV Regent. Speaking of which, I really want to see how Superdog turns out in James Gunn's version of Superman.
I'm from Metropolis. I see Superman every day.
You do? Could you get me his autograph?
You've grown stronger here than I ever could have imagined. The only way to know how strong is to keep testing the limits.
Ah, the Snyderverse. So much promise, yet so much wasted potential. 2013's Man of Steel had set us up for a thrilling ride, but alas, the need for competition ended up burying what could have been one of the most interesting film franchises of all time. Now, as far as Henry Cavill's first ever suit-up is concerned, it gets almost everything right. The build-up is quite similar to the earlier movies as Kal-El enters the Fortress of Solitude and meets Jor-El, learning who he really is in the process. I don't want to get too much into the chat they have, but what I will talk about is Superman's first flight. He's all suited up and ready to go, but we need to remember that this is his first time trying to gauge his actual powers. Naturally, it doesn't go well at first, but our boy gets the hang of it real quick, and that's what matters. The joy on Clark's face coupled with the ridiculously crazy shot of his flying both work so well with each other. Look, I've said it multiple times, but you need to understand how underrated this movie is. Like, this scene alone was good enough to hit number 5 on my list.
Excuse me. Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
This may not be the first time we see Clark Kent don the Superman suit, but it's the first time we see him change into it right before saving the day, or, in this case, also saving his babe. Suiting up into his costume in the middle of a very active set of public eyes was a daring thing to do. The follow-up is straight flexing from Bro's side as he holds Lois in one arm and a freaking chopper in the other. We get the iconic S, and then our boy spins around a rotating door to give us a neat example of how good the special effects were back in the 70s and 80s. Honestly, I'd much rather have this than the excessive CGI we have to deal with nowadays. I mean, another Superman stalwart, Henry Cavill, can tell you about that. Heck, even his moustache will tell you about it. Also, shout out to that distinguished gentleman who made a comment on Clark's suit. That dude was literally me if I saw Superman in front of my very own eyes. It's always important to look good when you're going to the airport. I mean, you have all these strangers looking at you. It's a disaster for introverts, but Clark Kent loves looking good wherever he goes, and this sequence is no different. Anyway, this suit up is so epic that it makes its way to number 3 for sheer impact alone. The actual suiting up is just Superman flashing his S to us, but it's what follows this flash that makes it iconic. Bro saves a whole flight from crashing while also dislodging a freaking space shuttle from it. Yeah, we all know what Superman is capable of. When you see such greatly directed scenes, you're made to appreciate him even more. Honestly, a lot of the suit-ups we've seen so far are just short flashes. That's pretty much the essence of what Kal-El is as a brand to his fans.
All the hopes and dreams of Krypton live in you now. I'm so proud of you, son.
You know, the modern world is really funny with the way things can go viral by having context with something that would otherwise be completely unrelatable. Take Disney, for example. They're so keen on being diverse that even Batman decided to make fun of them.
So what do you think? Does it come in black?
However, I suppose Zack Snyder took that a bit too seriously and decided to use the same logic, but for something that actually has value. Seeing Superman put on the black suit in the Snyder Cut was a touch of class mixed with a sense of brilliance. It looks so cool just from a visual perspective, and then we also see him in action against Steppenwolf, saving the whole Justice League in the process. It's a neat scene with great hype as we also get to see Kal-El explore more of his suit in an almost surreal experience before he witnesses greatness in front of him. The black suit by itself was enough to make us go crazy, and then to see Superman wear it was just unlimited aura farming. It was also a great decision combining both of his dad's voices in this scene. That's right, blending Jor-El from Krypton and Jonathan Kent from Earth was a stroke of genius. Thank God we didn't have Batfleck here, otherwise the mere memory of Martha would have turned him into a crybaby.
Who am I?
Your name is Kal-El. You are the only survivor of the planet Krypton.
Seen some pretty awesome Superman suit-ups across this video, but none of them will ever be able to boast that they were the first big screen rendition of Kal-El turning into Superman with his suit. This is the first time that audiences could enjoy something so iconic in the cinema halls, and even though there were some black and white Superman shows before this, they simply can't match the impact the 1978 movie made with this moment. Talking to his real father for the first time was a big moment, not just for Clark Kent, but also for us viewers. It gave emotional weight to what was about to come. Enter that legendary musical score, and you have yourself an undoubted winner for today's list. The sequence also doubles up as a great tutorial for dads when it comes to giving motivational speeches to their children. Marlon Brando may have been a nightmare to work with on set, but when he delivers, people remember that kind of performance for decades.
Hi there. Something wrong with the elevator?
Hope you liked the video, please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.